Well, hey folks, welcome back. This is lesson 2. My name's Mr. Bleeker. What I want to do in this particular installment is to introduce you to a few more Photoshop tools. In particular, we'll revisit the marquee tool, but we're going to focus in a lot on the text tool. Photoshop is a wonderful image editing tool, but there's so much that you can add that adds more vibrancy to your work. You can do all kinds of text effects, which are super fun. You can literally write in water if that's what you want to do. You get really good with some of these tools, and it can be fabulous. For example, check out the text here. Okay, that's amazing. But we'll start out kind of small and work our way up. So a couple of stylistic things. When you look at this picture, what we're supposed to write down here is Monday is beach cleanup day. Okay, so that's fine. We'll put that in. When we choose our text, we want to be kind of aware of the text that's in the background. We want to look at the colors in our work and decide, what would kind of be a sort of a nice text color. And this is sort of a taste option. I say go where you want with this. I guess as long as you're not writing in like sort of hot electric green, your project would work. So let's see what we can do here. So first of all, when it comes to selecting colors, you're going to be working a lot, and I do mean a lot, in your color options. Now for colors, sort of bring this over. Don't need all this real estate. When we look at our colors, we have the ability, when we choose our text, to have pretty much any color that we want. So when I select the text tool there, okay, short stroke, or the keystroke that gets you there faster is the letter T, you'll see that our properties menu tells us some things about our text tool. Right now, the font is Myriad Pro, but I've got a lot of fonts installed on my computer. I've done yearbook work, and on Macs, they make it kind of easy with the font book. But installing fonts, some are free that you can find online. Others are proprietary and you have to pay for them. But I do a lot of work, especially in terms of yearbooks, so I have a lot on hand. First thing I notice when you select text like this is you see what it looks like on the right. If I was looking for a text called papyrus, there it is, all I have to do is literally type its name. So let's say I was looking for Arial. There you go. If you type the name of the font, if you've kind of got it rolling around in your skull, you can go directly to it. Some of the fonts that are really nice, I'm a big fan of these, particularly in print. But when I look over here, for example, Avenir isn't really going to match what I want to do. So I have to type today's beach cleanup day. So let's go, no, not, I was looking for Myriad. So I will type Myriad, there we go, Myriad Pro right here, which I already have selected. But let's jazz it up a little bit. Go like this. So I've chosen this font, and I have to decide if I want it to be regular, but it also has choices over here for italic, bold, and the size, right? You can write in the size if you want. Like if I want the font to be size massive, I could say make this 36, and when I come down to my cursor, you'll see extremely large font, so that's too big. So I'm going to back off to about 14, size 14 font. You'll notice in your palettes over here, in layers, whenever you click down and you start typing, you get a text layer. So I'll just name it Beach Font for funsies. Now I clicked again, and what I wanted to show you was I'm on the text tool, and when I click here, Photoshop, it's not that it thinks this, but it's being programmed to understand that when you click down again, you've made another font layer. So I'm going to highlight that layer and drag it to the trash. So it's gone. Okay? So I'll go back to my beach font layer, and you see it makes a new one each time. So just going to make this easier. Start typing. Need something on that layer. So Monday is beach cleanup day. Okay. So first thing I notice, my text is massive. It's way too big. Let's take it down a skosh. There we go. I need to move it, but you'll find it's a little bit hard to move, so you'll migrate on over to the Move tool. And here's actually a really important thing. Up there where it says Auto Select, I've always thought it's rather interesting that it isn't on by default. Auto Select is amazing because if I click, now watch layers over here, if I click on the background, right, it will understand what I'm clicking on. So I clicked on background, and then I clicked on this layer, and you can see that that is now my active layer. So the background, by the way, you might notice that it is locked. Now, you can lock and unlock layers if that's what you want to do. What I try to do is I like to make a copy of my layers so that if I really mess it up, I've got it in the background. A way to copy a layer, you could select that layer, right? And then you could select this, copy. Oops. Actually, the way I like to do it is to drag it to copy. That's way better. There we go. Now that you have a background copy, you can turn off this one. Notice when you turn off visibility, everything disappears, and you make things appear by clicking that on. This one is sort of like my reserve copy, so I'll just keep it around if I really mess up. The Move tool, as soon as I click on the text, you'll see that I'm on the text layer. So that's why I like auto select up there. It makes my life a lot better. Okay, so Monday is beach cleanup day. Okay, looks not too bad. Now I want to change it. I can't just double click, so I've got to go back to my text tool, and then I can highlight it. Okay, this is kind of fun. The color is black. Okay, and you'll see in Photoshop, this is the color, for example, of things you're doing in the foreground, like text, or if I went to paint, for example, right now, let's grab a brush tool. So if I was on this layer and I went like this, it's black. Okay, because this is the foreground color, this is the background color, white. So this is kind of stock default. This color will change if I choose a different color. Okay, so I've got a choice. What do I want this text to be? Well, let's highlight it. I could come over here to my color panel, and you could see, looks like a little medicine dropper there, so I could say, ooh, how about salmon? So when okay, that looks a little weird because it's not picking up any colors. So I will undo that. So what would I want for colors? Well, I've got a choice. I can play around with the sliders, and this will give me different colors. The sliders, by the way, if you bring them all down to 0, that's black. And if you want completely red, you can max it out on red. So the maximum intensity for red is 255, so this is called red, green, blue color system. If you want your text to be fully green, you could just make it completely green. Keep an eye on this, right? If you wanted your text to be completely blue, you could max it out on blue. Doesn't really work. So when you go to pick these, you could say, well, the sliders are kind of hard, and you learn to think in color sliders, because if you mix red and you mix blue, you get purple or fuchsia, right? So depending on what you want to do, you could back this off, less red, and you get getting more of sort of a dark purple. I had a student that could think in Pantone colors, was so amazing. I can't do that. I'm getting better though. Should be pleased to know that. You could go to swatches. And swatches are like just little color choices you could pick. Now, if you keep your eye on the text color up here, and a little bit hard to see there, but you can see it's changing. You see what's going on. Now it's brown, yellow. And when it comes to swatches, when you're looking at them, right, you can, oh, menu's grayed out right now because I'm kind of in the middle of using a tool. When you're using swatches, you could have large versions, easier to see versions. You could have just a little teensy-tiny list. It depends on what you like. So I'm on this palette right now, choosing which way I want to see things. Personally, I'm just happy with thumbnails, right? This is fine. I mean, I can see the color. I can figure it out. Another thing that you can do is you can decide what color you want by, well, Styles has some as well, but you can choose your color by just choosing the selection tool, right? Like, so if I go over my font right now, this yellow completely doesn't work. So what I can do is I can say what color I want. I could click this, and then I can choose off sort of the color spectrum. So you get color choices, and you could go into a blue range or whatever you like, and you could say, oh, I like that one, kind of a turquoisey little number. And, you know, don't think so. That's not really doing it for me. I mean, look at it. You can see it doesn't work. So what's a really neat way to do this? Okay, when you're picking up colors in the system, what you could do is you could use, it's a little tool here, there it is, and I've got a medicine dropper floating around. You can see it here, right? Floating around right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up a color that's in the background. For example, what about the sky? So I could choose there, right? And say, well, that's not a bad color. Right, so let's grab color. Now, I should show you what I did there. I had to highlight my text, and when I'm choosing in the properties menu the color, now I could have gone here, but I snuck off over into with my medicine dropper. I snuck off into the tool. So I'm actually going to use the medicine dropper this way. I'm going to select this, and then it understands I'm selecting a color. So I could pick up the pink there, and it picks up that color, and this matches that. So technically it's a match, but technically this looks terrible. So what would really work? Well, you could pick up the sand. So you're being taken into this sort of color range. And if you look at it, right, yeah, I mean, it works. It looks like the sand. Okay, that's a choice. By picking up colors that are present, I'm doing a pretty good job of trying to match something that's in my scene. So that matches sort of our clown's lipstick here. Makeup, I guess we should call it makeup. But I'm thinking, you know, I really kind of like this blue sky here. It's not bad. I mean, it really picks up well. It looks good. You can't say it doesn't belong in the picture. If you don't like this color and you totally disagree with me, go ahead. But for the love of Pete, don't choose this and tell me it fits, because it really doesn't. It picks up nothing in the photo. So I'm going to hit undo, because that was, ay caramba, that was bad. So there we go. Back to this light color. So I've got to commit. So the color that I want is not that. It is, let me go with a little darker sky color there. Right, looks pretty good. If you don't like your font, right, you can change it. Right now, the font is doing something called aliasing, and I'll show you what this means. Okay, when you zoom in, so I'm going to zoom in on my text. All right, zoom way in. All right, looks like that. You see the edges of the text, how there's no real curved lines on a computer screen. They're all just little staggered lines. So how do we make that look better? Because that's horrible. I mean, this looks like, you know, I'm on a Commodore 64 from, you know, a long time ago in the 80s. And hey, I love my Commodore 64, but how do I get the text to look better than this? Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on what's called aliasing. Now, you see what it does? It puts pixels in there, but what they are is they're a little bit faded. So it's using a bit of a fade effect to smooth out the text. So there's varying degrees you can use this to. So you can have strong, crisp. These are just variations. Really, it's up to you. So when I'll zoom out, it looks pretty good. Looks like it's been all smoothed out. It's really quite good. So I'm going to keep this tutorial short and sweet. We've looked at colors, the color palette, the swatches, styles. We learned that we can play around with this little thing over here and choose different visualizations. You did the text tool, and you figured out you could do this little sweet maneuver for grabbing colors in the backgrounds. It looks pretty good. So apparently get out to the beach on Monday because you got to go clean it up. And yes, I've never really seen a clown garbage can before, but that one definitely rocks. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks for listening. Keeping it short and sweet. Have a good one.